Now let's talk about fuels reduction in non-forest vegetation, such as chaparral and rangelands. The main fuels reduction methods in these vegetation types are mastication, mowing, grazing, and prescribed fire. Herbicides may also be used, generally in conjunction with other methods. Brush and chaparral vegetation can be very flammable, producing tall flames and spreading rapidly. Mastication is the process of chopping up brush into smaller bits or chunks of woody material. This picture shows a brush mulcher device that mows down or masticates fuels. It's a small skid steer with a rotary drum attached to the front that can move up and down. Here it is basically mowing down a manzanita and buckbrush patch, which is highly flammable. This is a slash buster. It has a rotary head mounted on an excavator. It chops or masticates brush and small trees into chips. With mastication treatments, the total amount of fuels is not changed. The process basically converts ladder fuels, brush and small trees, into surface fuels. Slash busters and other masticating machinery have been widely used in southwest Oregon, California, and the southwestern United States. Here's an example of mowing flammable bitterbrush in central Oregon. What has research revealed about mastication? It's a relatively new process and studies are ongoing, so these findings may change. So far, mastication appears to be a relatively cost-effective method of fuels reduction that reduces potential for crown fire. However, fire severity may not be much reduced, meaning that residual trees and vegetation may still be killed if there is a fire on the site. That's because the dense, compact fuel bed may burn hot and for a long time. As the material decays over time, surface fire potential is reduced. There is a risk of soil compaction and rutting whenever heavy equipment runs over the ground, but this can be minimized by using a boom-mounted cutting head and low ground pressure equipment and operating when soils are dry. The material acts as a mulch, reducing annual weed germination and soil heating. Soil microbial populations and nitrogen availability are not much affected. Removing small trees and brush will alter wildlife habitat. What about livestock as a fuels reduction tool? Cattle and sheep can keep down grass and other herbaceous vegetation. Goats and sheep are browsers that eat woody vegetation. They can suppress brush, especially resprouting brush after cutting or fire. Research suggests that livestock can be especially effective at reducing fine fuels, that is, the 1 in 10 hour fuels, by both removing the fuel and through hoof incorporation, that is, trampling. Livestock typically require plenty of management, including fencing, water, predator control, and frequent monitoring. Grass is a flashy fuel with very rapid spread but relatively short flame lengths. Keep that grass down with periodic mowing or use animal. But note that non-agricultural mowing is typically restricted during fire season. Herbicides are another tool for keeping down flammable shrubs. However, the dead standing plants are still fuel, so they must be removed to accomplish the fuels reduction objective. And other unwanted vegetation can easily occupy the site after the dead material is removed. So you should think about what you will replace it with, perhaps a fire-resistant shrub or ground cover. Mowing the grass reduces the spread and flame length significantly. These fires are much easier to suppress. Fuels reduction treatments are most effective immediately after they are completed, and their effectiveness diminishes over time as vegetation grows back. The photo on the left shows an area a couple of years after a mastication treatment. The photo on the right shows the exact same area 8 years later. Here is another example. On the left, note the small madrone sprouts 1 year after fuels treatment. On the right, the same location 7 years later. The message is that after treatment, vegetation regrows and grows and grows. Depending on the site and vegetation, fuels treatments remain effective for only 5 up to perhaps 20 years, so ongoing maintenance will be needed. Maintenance techniques are basically the same as used in the initial fuels treatment. Use chainsaws, loppers, brush cutters, mowers, or even goats to keep the brush and small trees back. The key is to stay on top of it.